Mail time. Package in a package. What's the first one? Oh, it's a case for my phone. What's the third one? Ah, a car wireless charger for my phone because I purchased a new second-hand S23. Just the standard, don't need a big screen. It's just a phone. I've got a computer to do, real things with. Yay! In case you didn't know, I'm a massive fan of the Pebble watch. I've kept my Pebble watch since I got it. This is my second Pebble watch, and I absolutely love the Pebble watch. This lasts, I think, 4 or 5 days still, even though it came out with a 7 to 14 day battery life. I can't entirely remember, but it's always been great, and there is no other watch that can compare to a Pebble smartwatch. Then Fitbit purchased Pebble, and then Google purchased Pebble. By the end of the day, they completely discontinued it. But Google has released it out to be open source, and the original guy that made Pebble and got it where it is, I've been following the newsletter and stuff, and there's been announced actual Pebbles that you can purchase now. It's pre-order, so the Core 2 Duo, which is a simple black and white e-paper screen, it starts shipping July 2025. And the one that I would go for, but I can't afford, is the Core Time 2. That starts shipping in December. It's got a 1.5-inch 64-color e-paper screen. And for some crazy reason, it's touchscreen, which I've never cared about, and probably will continue to not care about because I fully prefer that this has buttons rather than a touchscreen. Touchscreens are horrible. Only good place is a touchscreen on a phone. But no, anything more advanced, I don't think a watch needs a touchscreen. I'm not sure I would pre-order, even if I could afford it. I'd rather wait and see some YouTuber reviews or something on it, because my watch is still fully functional. There's no issues with it. The only issue is that you've got to use ADB in order to actually install the application, because the application's so old and it's no longer supported by Google, even though Google is the company that purchased it. They've just swept it under the rug. Alright, just some simple stuff for this video. Obviously, behind the scenes, I am tidying up and cleaning up, as you can tell. Actually, no, it's not that tidy right now. So rather than showing you go through all these boxes of crap and just showing off the sheer number of power supplies I've got for things that I probably even never owned, I've decided on how I'm sort of going to do the computer setup for here. So I'm going to be using this dock here, and I've admitted defeat. I'm not going to have a swivelly arm thing here. Instead, I'm just going to mount this directly here. Now that's useful for a couple of reasons. It will accept this laptop that I can dock onto it. And this is a... I can't really remember where or how I even got this laptop. It's a cheapo little thing. It's just like an one of those X-Lease laptops. But my laptop that I regularly use and have this terrible sticker bomb on also can dock on that dock, which means if I do need a more powerful device out here, I can always just chuck my laptop on and have the connection and access to everything that's already there without having to, unplug a million cables. But I'll be able to leave this laptop on there and able to do stuff with this and not really care about if it gets broken or, at worst, stolen. Don't say it too loud. Oh, I just plugged the screen in and it has been absolutely demolished. Can I get it to turn on again? Look at that. Oh gosh. That's annoying. I was hoping to just keep using this screen. It's a It was a great little screen. It's frustrating. It's quite annoying when something like that just doesn't keep working. The whole moving process is quite difficult, I guess. It takes a toll on technology. But I was really hoping the screen would still work because I didn't have a proper mount or anything for it. So I literally just screwed it into this piece of wood and hoped it would still work. And it did. But I guess something landed on it or hit it or something. Now I need to figure out another solution. I could put a bigger screen here, but I've got nothing to mount it here with. And of course I don't want to sit it on the desk because the desk, it's a working desk. It's going to have the laser engraver on it and whatever other funny project I'm working on. Okay, so I've decided on my old TV that used to be in the bedroom. All I need to do now is just find maybe 2 more of these, ideally 3 more of these, but 1 more of these will work. It'll just be unstable, but that's okay. This is my garage. I don't need to make it safe for other people, as long as I'm comfortable in here. Somehow I've managed to find 4 of those screws, which is nice. Now I've got to figure out how I'm going to attach it. On theme with the rest of the wooden desk and stand bit, I will use this piece of wood that I have found, potentially. I won't. I can countersink it. There we go. Partial upgrade. Yes, it's bigger, but it's a TV, so it's going to be really annoying in the fact that if I want to use this screen, I have to turn it on manually. It doesn't just automatically turn on. And along with that, during its power on cycle, it sort of disconnects from the laptop, so it thinks the screen's disconnected. And then so it freaks out a little bit for a little while until this has figured out what it's doing and powers on properly, and then says that it's ready for a signal, which then the laptop is promptly able to freak out again and finally display the whole image across the 2 screens, or single screen, depending on how I end up actually setting it up. So I'd rather not use a TV, but for now, a TV will be fine. A chair would be nice, but these are luxuries, you know? I'm working with what I've got. And I don't currently have a chair. So, yeah. But I am keeping an eye out. I've asked a couple people on Facebook Marketplace for a chair. And then they come back and say, oh, sorry, it's already sold. Even when I've said, I'll come pick it up this afternoon. And they say, great. And then that afternoon comes around and then I message and I say, hey, what's your address? I'll come pick up the chair. And then they say, oh, sorry, it's sold. And there we go. A much too big of screen has now been installed, set up, and I've got the computer here. We're all good. It's doing its thing. Just need to adjust some settings. It's got a hard drive in it. No. This little laptop here has this stinking old slow hard drive in it. No wonder it's going painfully slow. Now, I gotta consider, can I really be bothered reinstalling Windows? I do have an SSD from an Intel NUC that I pulled apart and broke trying to turn it into a Home Assistant server. That happened in a previous video. So let's go and recover that SSD and just slap her straight in there and hope that everything just works. Now I can rip the hard drive out of this laptop and chuck in this 240 gig SSD which has Windows 10 Pro on it. Hopefully I don't have to deal with any weird licensing thing, but if I do, I'll not. I then proceeded to pull apart some of the spare laptops that I had stored away to see if there were any parts in them that I could use. There weren't. Then I installed Windows 11 onto the laptop. I've spent practically all day working on this laptop. Windows 11 is so painfully bad. I haven't installed a fresh copy of Windows 11 since round about when it first came out. And since then, they have just added so much crap you have to deal with, and I just could not choose to have a local user on here. It has to have a Microsoft account, so I had to connect it to the Wi-Fi. But I mean, I needed to anyway because there's a ton of updates that it needs, and it just keeps failing at those updates. It has no graphics drivers or anything. I can't even watch a YouTube video on it. This laptop sucks. There's a reason it was in the poo pile. And finally, after hours and hours of trying, it's got both screens working, it's got the graphics drivers installed, and the laptop is actually in a usable state. That said, I was seriously considering just chucking Linux Mint or Ubuntu on there because it really actually doesn't need a full operating system like Windows. All it is actually set up there for is to not even 3D model, purely just do the last bit of processing and then send it to the 3D printer. Same with the laser engraving. I don't need to be doing art or anything. It just needs to be able to do the last little bit of the process. As well as, maybe I'll chuck Arduino IDE on there so that I can do some light programming and stuff with it. If I need anything heavy, I can always just take that laptop out and chuck my personal, more powerful laptop into that slot and connect to everything that's there. I am quite surprised at how difficult Microsoft has made it to simply install Windows and use it. It is a painfully long process, and it never used to be like that. Back when I first installed Windows 11 was more or less when it first came out, and it was super simple. Just click local user and pretty much nothing else really popped up. But now it's just pop-up after forced application installation, things you can't delete, and all this other crap piled on top. No wonder everyone's dissing Windows 11. It sucks. That screen's way too big. I need a chair.